in June, as we know, is the start of hurricane season, and we're just 2 months away from the official start of the 2025 hurricane season. And this is the very latest. This is the newest hurricane season outlook from meteorologists at Colorado State University. And while it might seem kind of silly, we're like, why are they the experts in hurricanes when they're at Colorado? But there are some specialized meteorologists, and they have a very specific meteorology program there, and they've been doing this for years. They were actually one of the first entities to issue some of these outlooks. So this is the very latest. So this is just in as of 10 a.m. And they're one of the, one of the ones that we kind of always look out for because they are so skilled in the hurricane and tropical weather department. So when it comes to named storms, the average is around 14, and the CSU forecast is issuing an outlook of around 17. In terms of hurricanes, the average is 7, whereas for our forecast from CSU is bumped up to 9. And as far as major hurricanes, our normal major hurricane amount would be around 3, whereas CSU is forecasting about 4. And when it comes to just hurricane season as a whole, when we look at these numbers, that is above normal. And there's a couple of reasons why. We aren't going to be expecting as active of a season as last year. That was obviously very historical. We don't want that again. I think I can speak for all of us when we say that in Florida and really any coastal states. But we are going to be seeing potentially a higher than normal and higher than average season, a more active, I should say, than normal season with these numbers coming out. And there's a couple of reasons for that. The ocean temperatures, while they're not going to be quite as warm as what we saw the past 2 years, I mean, we were talking record warmth with the ocean water temperatures, and that's a huge factor when it comes to hurricanes. But also we're going to be kind of transitioning out of we talked a lot about La Nina and El Nino, a lot of that in the last couple of seasons. So we're kind of going to be shifting more into a neutral phase. So that can kind of help to slow things down a little bit, but it can also help to steer, more systems into the East Coast. So just a couple of takeaways from this, because this is the very latest. And in terms of accuracy, they've got about 84% accuracy when it comes to hurricane season and issuing these outlooks. So it's worth noting and for us talking about it in hurricane season, because this is the very latest, and they're actually going to be doing a press conference here before long too, talking about it.
Just let's talk about, and this is one thing that we hear a lot. Obviously, we are all living in a hurricane state where we're accustomed to this year after year. We always talk about the El Nino versus the El Nina effect and how that impacts. What does that mean exactly, and which one are we going to be in?
So the La Nina and El Nino, they're a part of what we call teleconnections in meteorology, and it's essentially kind of the global patterns and help to steer different systems. And when we're kind of more in a neutral phase, La Nina usually means a more active year. El Nino means a little less active. So we're going to be a little into more so not quite as strong of a La Nina. So that is good for us. But regardless, I think with these outlooks, I know we stress the importance of talking about them and looking at them, but it only takes one.
Yeah.
Right.
We say that every year, and it really only takes one. So it's just, bottom line, it's just really important to stay prepared. I know last year was just a doozy for all of us. I can't believe we're already talking about this season again, but the fact that it's not going to be as crazy as last year is, one of the positive takeaways, I think. So
yeah, so be prepared. And I think most Floridians, I'm one of those. I'm always prepared, but I don't overreact to this. You just don't know, because you think you're in the clear in October, and sometimes that's not the case.
Yes,
Thank you, Hurricane Nicole.
Yeah.
That was a November hurricane that we experienced a couple years ago.
It sometimes feels, more unusual things keep happening every now and again. So I feel like with each and every year, something else unusual happens.
No, you bring up a good point, and like Hurricane Nicole, which was in November, and I think this last year shocked so many people because of Helene.
Yes.
Because of the damage done in the western North Carolina mountains, which I think just threw people off. They're like, what in the world? Nothing like that is, at least in our lifetime, have we seen before. So you're right when you say sometimes it's just this one-off of something odd that happens. It sort of throws everybody off.
Yeah, and when we have a higher than normal season forecast, it just is all the more reason to kind of stay on guard more and pay closer attention to the forecast. I think that's some of the bigger takeaways to keep in mind is just because we're forecasting a low season or a less active season, that would mean we're very lucky, but it doesn't mean that we won't get one.
That's right.
It's somebody will still be affected sometimes, even if it's not us. So important takeaways.
Good stuff.